Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another broadcast with my special guest, Coach D DERELL Spears. And many of you who have been here before have heard him discuss mental health, focusing on PTSD and other mental health disorders in our community. However, tonight's broadcast, as you can see in the title, talks about when things go too far, meaning dissecting when things are not just YouTube. So, everyone, welcome Coach D DERELL.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Glad to
You
be back.
you are very welcome. As I mentioned when I was on live earlier, it's Friday. Everybody is scattered, but this is a conversation that you and I will have. And those that may want to chime in can, or they can catch it on the replay. So, without further ado, we will begin. YouTube. I have heard this colloquialism ever since I began, and I'm going to say I'm still, at least in my opinion, considered a novice, but I've heard, as I mentioned, this colloquialism, well, it's just YouTube, it's just YouTube. Well, it may be for some, but not for all. And when I say that is there are instances where people are experiencing threats. They are threatening to compromise your livelihood. They are defaming your name. They are possibly ruining any present or future sponsors you may have, and just making your life a living, you know what. And it happened to me. Those of you that know me, it happened earlier this year where I did have to seek, I should not have had to, but assistance from LE. I've had my page monitored. It still is. I'm not going to speak too much into it because the majority of it has stopped for the most part, but I had to do a lot to get that done. And while you may not see certain things, you will see a couple of times people from Facebook popping in. That's actually an officer who's actually a good friend of mine. And those that have been here also know that I do have representation. And not only that, another individual that is here, and I don't have a problem of reaching out directly if I need to. So for the most part, things have calmed down, but I should not have to have gone through that. Again, I understand about roasting and um, ugly things, and people have the right to freedom of speech, but there is an exception to that. I'm not going over those definitions anymore, but um, those are when civil suits can come in, and depending upon if you are using, which this did happen, electronic devices to cyberbully, that's where it's criminal. And just because, and I want to make this clear to people, nothing has been done as of yet. Do not think that things aren't being done. It truly takes time to gather information, and when things are actually being monitored and conversations and messages are being extrapolated, those things need to be compiled. So keep in mind, it could be next month, next year. Again, just because you hear nothing, I would be more concerned not hearing anything, just knowing the field that I'm in. So, with that, when you all are enjoying entertainment, and we all like entertainment, it's not entertaining when you are on the receiving end of actual threats and then cyberbullying, also people illegally obtaining information. And let me be clear on that. While there are some things that are public, there are other things which are not. And those of you that may question, well, you do such and such. Well, if it has something directly related to me, it is absolutely in my purview to do what I need to do to find out what I need to send on. So legally, I can do what is needed to be done because it has something to do with me. Now, if it has something to do with Coach, I have no business poking or prodding into anything. That's where you can get caught up and jammed up as well. So I know exactly what I have the authority to do and what not to do. So you all need to be really careful on that slippery slope because defamation, again, includes libel and slander. If you're going to say something about someone, for example, saying somebody is a scammer, you need to prove that. And a lot of times, going civil, it's a waste of time and money because most of the time, the person who is doing that is low
Broke.
hanging fruit, and you're not going to get anything from them anyway. But the criminal side, that's where you get messed up. So that's my little brief synopsis. Again, my situation, I have done all I've needed to do. I've forgiven those people, but it's already out of my hands. So if something happens in the future, remember you and anyone else, you started it. And I made warning shots. And I'm not rescinding anything. Yes, I've forgiven, but everything that needed to be done has been sent forward. So again, you need to be extremely careful of who you play with. So that's my story. And Coach, take it away.
All right. Well, Doaz, I do appreciate you for having me here once again. It's always a pleasure to be on your platform. I do listen to you a lot, even though I be in the clouds most of the time. I do enjoy supporting your channel, and I'm looking forward to you collaborating with me on my channel in the future. And so,
Absolutely.
one of the reasons that as I've talked to you offline, I mean, before we connected online, was, I'm very particular about people that on my show because I do understand the type of sector that I'm in. And so, what I'm going to talk about today is the fact that I come from the sector that I'm in, particularly the Umar Johnson sector, is a sector in which it was built from the fact of people who were doxing, defaming, uh, participating in libel, information that would be considered libel, um, towards um, a very popular, figure in social media named Umar Johnson. And so when I first, I didn't even realize it's almost like I was talked about in the sector before I even knew it was a sector. I basically was a proponent of Umar Johnson since 2014, and I didn't start doing content creation until 2017. But I didn't really begin listening to YouTube consistently, as far as in various sectors, till 16. And so I spent a year listening to Umar on YouTube, and actually before that, but I was also in other sectors, and I seen the things that were going on. So I decided to give content creation a shot, and I wanted to focus on doing pro black type content. I wanted to do therapeutic, psychological type, counseling related, black community related content. I did stuff on reparations, ADOS, and things of that sort. And so I noticed that when I would do Umar Johnson content, this was in 17, I would have people just come in and just, this is when you had the thumbs down, and they would just thumb down the video and they leave a whole bunch of messages. I didn't think anything of it because at the time I was trying to grow my channel, and I just would do my regular content. So I may have created probably about 4 or 5 Umar videos that year, which that happened every time. So when 2018 came about, um, and my channel, particularly towards the end of that year, it began to grow. I did another Umar Johnson video, and this video I was like real passionate about about the situation with him in the school. And in the video, I guess to the people that didn't like me, I came off as being very elitist. I came off being snobbish. I came off being offensive because I was pointing out that there were people who, excuse me, who were criticizing Umar Johnson, and they didn't have training in the areas that they claimed that he was falling short of. And I talked about people who claim to be lawyers, who claim to be, uh, accountants and real estate. All these people knew all of this information about what he should or should not be doing, but they were not practicing or working in these areas in real life. And I basically told them they didn't have any credibility.
Well, let me ask you something real quick,
Yeah,
Coach D DERELL. Do you know?
yeah,
Do you know Lennon? Lennon Honor.
yes, I know him very well.
Is he um is he a supporter, or how does he fall in? Because I came across him almost a year ago, and I
Right?
want to say he may have been wearing a dashiki
Yes,
or
he was
something,
wearing a dashiki.
and singing this song like Stevie Wonder, FDMG. It's
Yeah, it's come. Yeah, yeah. That see,
And I cannot get that jingle out of my head. I know it's terrible, but
it's
that,
still up. You can, if you check back from 2021, 2021, that video is still up there. You can
oh
check.
my God.
All you have to do is look at he usually would start off the video with him playing the piano with some shades on with a dashiki talking about FDMG is coming, it's coming, it's
Yes.
coming, and all the crazy stuff that he was doing. Yeah. So and I'm actually in my story, I will talk about Lennon Honor because Lennon Honor also did some doxing of me too, by
Oh
the
my
way.
God. Now I
Oh
did
yes,
not
he
know
did.
that.
Yes, Lennon Honor. What's going on, Miss Queen Snow Bunny? Yes, Lennon Honor also took it public with me. Yes, he did. Very much. He tried to take my license away from me.
Lennon did that?
Yes.
Oh, let me put my mic on mute. I did not know that. All I
Yes. So,
remember
and
is,
so and so since you want me to tell my story, I'm gonna go ahead
yes.
and tell you 'cause it's a lot.
Oh my,
So
get your tea, everybody. Oh my
yes, so this is what happened. Um that video changed my YouTube career. And so from that point on, I got way more, like the videos that I were doing, I was lucky to get 175 to 100. That video had probably well over 1,000 uh visits. And I had a whole bunch of likes and dislikes. And so I noticed from that point on, whether I did a video on Umar or anything, a lot of people began to subscribe to me, and they they started watching my channel to see what I was going to talk about. And so I started talking more about Umar, and more of these people came, and it was the same 50 people every time. I noticed it was a guy named Gerald Palmer, who is best friends to the lady that we were talking about, Andrea Michelle Stewart, aka Anti-Afro Spengali. Was another person in that group named Black Anonymous, and then there was this other girl named the beautiful Bernice, and some of them now that used to troll me, that they're in the sector now, and they've kind of changed, and they left the group. But when that happened, my channel started to grow. And in the spring, right before the spring of 2019, I decided to start. Um, I actually went live and did an interview with one of her best friends named Gerald Palmer, which he also eventually doxed me and did stuff too. But at the time when I entered, I didn't even know I was in this sector. All I know is that every time that I would speak on it, it triggered the sector for some reason, and I became this hated person, and people couldn't stand me, and so they were trying to vet me to see what I was all about. And so Gerald agreed to do an interview with me. We had a debate that ended up turning into kind of a friendly conversation. But during the time that this was going on, this lady did about 8 videos about me before I even knew who she was. At least 8. And so in her doing that, she found out my license number. She found out my business locations, because at the time I had 3 locations. She put out information about my website. The guy that I spoke about, Gerald Palmer, actually contacted. He's a pro LGBT preacher, but he claims he's not LGBT, but he's pro LGBT. And in his actions, and I'm not trying to sound homophobic, but there's a lot of things about him, you will get that vibe from him. I'm just going to put it in that manner. So we began to have, when I went live, um, you know, it caught the attention of more and more people from that sector. They would come to my channel, they would troll, say all kinds of crazy stuff. And so then they started doing more and more videos about me, saying stuff that was not true. And the bad thing about it, though, is that the people believed everything this woman would say. You know, everything. I mean, they would. She. They. It didn't matter how crazy it sounded. They would believe everything this woman would say. And so I kept going on about stuff. And then I also talked about things that Lennon Honor was doing, because Lennon Honor proven to be a scam artist, and he did a lot of sketchy stuff. And so Lennon Honor um, came on my platform, and we had a debate. We
Was
had a
he
very
invited? Was he
huh?
invited? Did you invite him or he just showed up?
No, he just showed up in the chat,
Wow.
and the people were like, "Whoa, that's really Lennon Honor," and they were like, And then I noticed my subscribe not subscriber count, but my viewership went up when he came in. So I guess he must have notified people, hey, And so when he came there, we talked for a good 45 minutes, at least 45 minutes to an hour. We were going back and forth about Umar Johnson, what he don't understand. And so his position was, D DERELL, you're nothing like Umar Johnson. You're this and that. You're a professional. You're this. Why are you support? It's almost like we don't understand on our end. Why are you supporting this man? You should not be support. You should be on our side, not on. You should be on our side, not on his side. Okay. So, in that happening, me and Lennon had a cordial interaction. We was no name calling, with no cursing each other out. And at the time, I was not like that. I was very calm, and I attempted to be as professional as I could. depending on the situation. So when that happened, the lady Andrea Michelle Stewart got upset with Lennon. She did a whole video chastising him for coming on my show. She was upset. Next thing you know, I sent him out an email. He didn't respond. We were supposed to do other shows and we were going to interact and debate. Because I had a debate show. My show was about people who had whatever size of the coin. I'm giving you the opportunity to express. I actually welcomed them to come and debate me about these issues because I felt like we needed that type of discourse. So he refused after she told him not to come there anymore. But the other guy, we end up having some heated exchanges where he actually threatened to try to take my license from me, threatened to, he mentioned my real name. He basically put my license number out, my location. Um, he also and they both did this. They working together. So he did things like that. Then he threatened to beat me up. He threatened to, I'll pay for you to have a ticket to come to Kansas City and I'll kick your ass and all this. And this is a pastor, I may say, right? And so he got upset with us because we were having discussions about the Bible. We were having
A
discussions about
pastor threatened you?
yes, yes, yes. Yes, he threatened me, and he threatened to beat me up. Said he'll beat me up in front of his house, and he was upset because we were denouncing his interpretation of the Bible, particularly when it comes to LGBT and behavior. And so he came up with this convoluted interpretation of what the scriptures really said, and I'm gonna be honest, I did get heated, and it was blasphemous in my perspective and the other people on the panel actually triggered him too. And so in that he got my he actually contacted YouTube and they took they suspended me for a week and took the live stream down, saying that I was saying hate speech. And he convinced them that I was doing hate speech, which I wasn't. So from that point on, people were putting up my information, my first name, my last name, saying that you're a licensed professional counselor, saying this and saying that. We were going back and forth. Then they actually lied on me and stated that I didn't have a license and that I was operating under the license of somebody else. Then that was actually slanderous. You can't, and it's also identity theft because they took the identity of another lady and said that I took this lady's license and I'm not licensed, and that was totally false and that was against the law. But me being green to this YouTube stuff, because I've only been on there for 2 years, I didn't have time, nor did I think about having to go through all this stuff. So I made the mistake of not contacting the proper authorities that she could have been held accountable. And so things lingered on, okay? And finally, in around I'm sorry, February of 2020, the following year, um, I decided to leave the sector. So I left the sector for like 9 months, and I came back. When I came back, it was totally different because when I first came in it, I was pretty much by myself battling against these people. Then when I came back, there were other people that I was learning of. Like it was like at least 7 to 8 different people that were doing stuff. And me and Monty Woodgrain had an issue, and we basically, you know, squashed our beef and stuff. And then Monty Woodgrain, who also did anti-Umar content, he started questioning Lennon Honor. He started questioning anti-Afro because he was like, "Wait a minute, why are y'all like?" I know I did a lot of Umar Johnson videos, but this is like enough. Like I'm not trying to hurt this man in real life. Monty was all about just making videos, making fun of Umar, not to try to take his degree, trying to like look up his degrees and try to get him fired from a school he was at or take his certifications away. And so he basically pointed out that he was not into that. He did not support them on doing that. And so In 2020, people began to question, why are these people called anti-fraud warriors, headed by Lennon Honor and Anti-Afro and Gerald Palmer? Why are they trying to hurt black businesses? And there were tons of black businesses that were hurt. And so that was a African restaurant that was hurt. That was I think it was a black owned aerobics or something, kind of like a workout gym or something. They were affected. That was a restaurant that was shut down because they called the health department and got them investigated. I mean, this happened, and then it was a barber shop. They tried to call the health department. I mean, it was tons of things. And so when these things were happening, again, this is YouTubers turning things into real life. And so it started affecting people. And when people start seeing that, a lot of black people in this sector were like, we're not going to support people ruining black businesses. And so when that happened, it kind of opened the floodgates for a lot of people who were tired of their shenanigans. They began to do content. They began to express their opinions. One guy I know really well named Poetic Flocka. That's why he entered. He entered the sector because he is Liberian, and his one of his parents is Liberian, the other was Nigerian, and he is big on supporting African restaurants, and he got upset because they hurt an African business. And so he actually turned it around and started doing the same stuff. And so what ended up happening, they start doxing Lennon Honor, they start doxing Gerald Palmer, they doxed Andrea, and then also in respect, I start looking up information. And I had to contact boards and do stuff because I felt like they were doing things that were, to me, way out of line. I mean, I've never went out my way to hurt anybody because I don't get any pleasure from harming people. It's particularly to me, I'm like, whatever's on YouTube, keep it on YouTube. But these people were really trying to silence people, to the fact that uh, uh, a a website that I was advertising on, they took my account. Excuse me, they took my account away and took me off the website because of them. I eventually filed an appeal and got back on, but the fact of the matter is that that happened. And so in 2020, again, I had issues with them. They was trolling me and stuff, and then they basically got my channel shut down. At the time, the channel was actually called D DERELL, and I had almost 5K subscribers, and it was a growing channel that was doing very, very well, and I was making good money off of YouTube during that time. And I mean, I had people. I was monetized. I was getting cash apps. I was doing very well. I had about 8 to 10 people that I know every time I went live that would donate to me. I mean, it was paying for my little subscription with Scream. I mean, anything I wanted to do, the channel was paying for itself. Okay, and so I was happy for that. I mean, there was, even though I wasn't necessarily on YouTube for money. It was more for interaction. But I was happy to feel appreciated for my time. And so during that time, lawsuits were filed. I was listed in lawsuits. She contacted my board along with Lennon Honor. Lennon Honor lied to my board and said that I tried to clinically diagnose him online. She lied and said the same thing. The other guy, Gerald Palmer, also did the same. And so it was you know it was things like that I had to deal with. And unfortunately, it was horrific. Even though, and I'm gonna say this, though, eyes, the 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 complaints were very minor complaints that didn't go anywhere. They were really frivolous. But the fact of the matter is that I shouldn't have to get a lawyer to send letters back in response to this. I had to do. I got representation just to protect myself, and that's what resulted in doing. People were posting phone numbers of my office. They were lying, saying that I was at a location that I no longer was at. And so, and then it got to the point where I stopped advertising because I was advertising my business on Yelp. I took all that information out, afraid that if they would get some of my newer information, they would just spread it around with malicious intent to cause harm potentially to me or my workers. And I had family too that worked there, at the time. So I had to look out for myself, and those were the things that I had to endure. And I never dreamed that I would have to deal with this. I would have to deal with this on a platform. I just never dreamed that I would have to go through, like, people really are taking this far. Are you really trying to hurt my career over me supporting somebody? And also, like, you should have read the letters that they sent the board. I mean, the delusion, it was filled with delusions in some of the complaints. They actually told my board that Dempsey Spears, that's my real name. Everybody, I say it now, but at the time I wasn't. He is a licensed therapist that has no business supporting a man like Umar Johnson. This is what the letters were saying. Could you believe a therapist would support a man that said he would kill 15% of, which Umar never stated that. I mean, they it was like pages of rhetoric like that. That was, to me, like, it was it was demonic. It was devilish. It was just it was just so out of the ordinary. And I had to sit there with my lawyer to write letters back. And this, basically, the boards, they didn't really, regardless of what they say, the boards really, they have to do due process, but they looked at it as, frivolous claims, and they just threw it out. Okay. So in 2021, they did it again. Lennon Anna wrote a letter saying that I tried to say I diagnosed him. And what I really did was said that I don't understand, why are you all supporting a man who has not worked in like 8 or 9 years, who has 5 children, and he's trying to tell other men how to be a man, and he's basically making a living off of YouTube and YouTube alone. And I
That's funny.
questioned his. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, that's funny that you say that because when I first happened to come across his page, he was making crazy
Money.
amount of
Yes.
money, and I didn't know about Dr. Umar at the time. I want to say he's into Pan Africanism. Is
Yeah,
that
Pan African. He is a Pan African.
okay? So I didn't understand, and I still don't understand what in the world was going on with that, because to me, it again, I'm still a novice, but it appeared to me that he was on the borderline of being either obsessed with him or his mission, so to speak, because every time he was on, it was about Dr. Umar. And I'm like, I didn't understand.
Yes, and the thing about it, this was a constant. This was for his Umar content became so saturated with lies and things that were not true, but there were people who were entertained at this, and a lot of the people who were watching were actually um a part of what's called the anti fraud warriors, or they were supporters of anti Afro Spengali. And so they all worked together and they did similar content. And so she basically supported his channel, and she had a pretty decent following, somewhere around 8 to 10,000 uh, um, subscribers. But her views, she would get anywhere between 5 to 15,000 per upload that she would post. She never went live. Everything was just uploads. And so she basically, we found out actually earlier this year, because now they're no longer, in good grace with each other. So they fell out because Lynn and Honor wanted to do some different things besides Umar, and then they wanted to basically control his platform. And what we found out was that in the process of this happening, Gerald, one of the who's actually the LGBT preacher, he actually lost his job because of the Umar Johnson stuff. He actually lost his job, and there were allegations of him having uh, a sexual relationship with a male student. And so that caused some problems, and also it caused problems in his marriage. And so when these things happen, Lennon tried to get back at me saying that because they were saying that Lennon Honor also had some LGBT activity going on, and I don't know if it was true or not, but that there was some very riveting um, um, riveting evidence of people coming out saying that he did certain things. One guy was actually, when you were on my live stream, one guy came up that was talking to me. His name was Stefan Gaetano. He was one guy that came up and that Lennon tried to coerce him into doing some things to troll or to go check out the FDMG Academy in real life. Then there was another white guy in Utah that said some stuff, and so it was tons of stuff like that, but nothing was really proven. But there were allegations. And so Lennon did that, and the board just told me, hey, this is just a warning. Please don't use certain terminology when you're speaking on people, particularly because it can be misconstrued that you're diagnosing them. And they just threw it out. It was no big deal. But according to them, they claimed that I received this big, you know, uh, X on infraction on my license, and if I do something again, my license is going to be taken away from, and that didn't happen. There were some things that did happen within my business that did cause me to be reported. Um, that it had nothing to do with YouTube. This was business things, issues, and so there were some disputes business wise with a contract that I had in Dallas. uh, then there was another situation with another therapist that I had as far as information being billed. Those infractions did go into the board, in which basically I was reprimanded to just basically take some classes. It was very minor. I took a class and I think a couple of CUs, and then I satisfied that, and I was done. And so what ended up happening, they took that information and they sold it to the sector or to YouTube as if I'm operating without a license. I'm getting ready to lose my license. And the thing about it, when the case was final, I had to have my lawyers involved. It was three infractions. These infractions were actually over 5 years old, 4 to 5 years. This is way before I even did YouTube to that extent. And so they took that and cut things up, edit it to make it appear that I'm getting ready to lose my license, my business, and none of those things happened. Basically, I took 6 hours of a CU and some CU classes and some things like that, and that was it. I had a supervisory license or certificate that I surrendered, and I didn't have to do that. I chose to do it because part of the issues was that as being a supervisor, I had issues because I had a therapist in Dallas that hired unqualified people, and when you hire unqualified people to do therapeutic work, even being that that's my business, I'm still liable for that, even though I'm in Houston and there, and so my lawyer explained to me that you have to understand when you're in business like this, regardless if you have multiple locations, if unethical things happen, at your business, think people can come after your license, even if you had nothing to do with it. Now, he said that the probability of some harm coming to you, it all depends on the extent of what happened, but uh, that's the risk you take in business. So you're taking a business risk and you taking a professional risk. So when I did that, I just decided to do away with the supervisory license because number one, I wasn't using it, and I at the time when that occurred, I hadn't had a intern in like 2 years, so I let that go. I satisfied everything. Uh, the board took everything out, and I was good. I never was told to not to stop doing therapy. I was never told I was suspended. I was never told that, you know, you're going through this process where you can't do this or limited on what you can do. They basically looked at it as a minor issue that needed some level of correctiveness. Excuse me. And so that's what happened. And so, oh, you wanted to say something?
No, I was just I'm listening. I can't even believe all of this stuff is going on. And as far as boards are concerned, when there's something that is extreme, well, it depends on what area, you have to sign a document. Some of the stuff is actually redacted, but it does become, again, depending upon where it is, um, a part of record. But if it's really something major, you actually have to sign for it. Other
Yeah.
times you're just spoken to, and that's that. Lawyers go for, they, oh my God, lawyers, they make some good money. But do you know, the you can have a client and they may not like the outcome of a case. They'll write to
To the
the
board.
board,
Yeah.
and
That
they
happened.
have to
I've had
go,
that happen. Yeah.
yes, so they've got to go through that as well. And I'm like, oh,
I had a client that actually sprung. Actually, one of the complaints that was made was from a disgruntled client that said that I participated in certain uh, financial acts that didn't happen, and what ended up happening was that it sprung a big old investigation that went nowhere, and so that was one. The other two were things that happened with a contract with a foster care agency, and then there was another one with the operations of a person providing services. But that was a complaint that I received. That complaint was thrown away. It was thrown out, and so. And I told him, I said, "You guys, I have lawyers that handle things for me. This is not. I don't have a Mickey Mouse operation. At the time when these things were happening, I was operating in Texas City, Texas, which is in Galveston County, which is a suburb outside of Houston. I had I had major operations at my private practice in Houston, and then I had a clinic in Dallas that was doing quite well at the time. I mean, it was doing extremely well. And I was going to Dallas a lot. I was going to Dallas at the time from, I would say, from 2015 to 2019. I was going to Dallas at least 10 times a year, at least, and sometimes more than that. And then some days when I would go to Dallas, I would stay multiple times. I would stay there for at least 2 or 3 days. Especially 2015, I went to Dallas every 2 to 3 weeks, staying there for at least 2 days. 2016, the same, but I didn't go. I started going monthly, then every other month. I started slowing down around the end of 2017, 18. And so I would go to Dallas a lot. And in 2020, especially with COVID coming, I didn't go at all. I mean, I went 3 times actually towards the end, but it was because of some just business things I had to take care of. But in light of all this stuff that I'm doing, major operations, I have over almost 20 employees. Okay, just all types of stuff going on. I didn't have time to be dealing with. You don't want to feel like this stuff that you're building, people are trying to take this away because they don't like you on YouTube. So
absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. And that goes on more than people, I believe, realize. So that's when I accidentally came across your live, and I'm like, what in the world?
Yes. And all of these things are true. I mean, and I'm gonna tell you this though. I'm gonna tell you what is so frustrating about this. What is so frustrating is that I even took it upon myself to show the paperwork of what really happened, and you still have fools arguing with me about whether or not I told the truth. Just like yesterday, when it was there yesterday, I had a guy on there. I met him in real life when I went to Vegas. We cool and good, but this guy was telling me, let's say you are telling the truth. I'm like, brother, are you serious? Like, brother, did you not see the videos of what she did versus what I showed you what happened? I mean, I'm not going to just, I'm going to say this first of all. I don't have to prove anything to anybody. Okay. Number one, I took it upon myself just to show you, to implicate the lies that she engages in. That was my reason for doing it. But I'm not going to just disclose and show full transparency on my business to the sector because of YouTube. That's silly. But I'm like, even though and so that's why when he said I didn't even get mad. I didn't even, I just told him I don't get I don't get this obtuse reaction to what they're doing to this, because I'm like, like, this is stupid. This is like real dumb. Like, for you not to be able to evaluate who's telling the truth and who's not. And all of these things that she has done has not really amounted to anything of any consequence towards anybody, for the most part, outside of the stuff with the businesses. And this lady calls the FBI on people, and all kinds of government agencies, and stuff like this. And so this is the stuff that happened to me. And um, she continuously this year, she made about 50 videos lying about my business. She learned that I had a domestic violence accredited program. She posted all of that information and gave information for people to contact them and try to take my license. Now this
That's
is
the
something.
part where I came in on.
Yeah,
What was the purpose of even doing that? I mean,
I don't
why?
get it. I don't know. So so what she did. Let me tell you what ended up happening. They claimed that I did some online sexual harassment or something.
Oh God.
It's something because I had gotten to it with a female that was. She did some things, and we had an interaction, and it was a hostile. It was a negative interaction, and so they felt like every time that I spoke in negative about somebody, that was harassment on YouTube. So they sent snippets of phrases that I stated. They just basically edited stuff. And so when they sent this complaint, the criminal justice department of Texas that's over that a program wanted to have a small hearing with me. So I had to basically sit there with two young ladies. One was Hispanic, one was black, and I had to explain to them everything that I'm explaining to you right now for 2 hours. And one of the things that they were looking at, they took out of context where we were talking about online sexual harassment, and we were also talking about predatory behavior. And so there was a guy in our sector who talked about something that he engaged in with two ladies, where he made a pass on two ladies, and they basically took him making a pass as being sexual harassment. That's something that happened 18, 20 years ago, but they made a big deal. So in my response to some of the stuff that was going on, because I did a presentation on sexual dysfunctions, psychopathic behavior. I was actually doing giving clinical information to kind of keep people, within context. And so in that process, I talked about, if there are two people that are dating or having sex or whatever, I said you can't. I stated from this. I stated from this perspective. I'm not, and so I talked to them about if you're with the guy and y'all are dating or y'all with each other and y'all comfortable with each other, the guy cannot make you do anything just by like if someone asks you to do something. So one of the things that was talked about was adults having oral sex. And so in that discussion, I talked about that if you're with a guy, you have the right, a female has the right to say yay, yes or no. Okay, or you leave, or you're not comfortable, or whatever. Or the guy has a right. You have a right to say yes or no. No one can force you to, by them asking you to do something, that you do it. Now, that's in a civil, what I would say, a honest interaction discourse, not something that involves where somebody is threatening you, somebody kidnapped you, or they had a weapon to force you to do those, that was not the manner. And so what they did was that they cut up and edited out some stuff, and they sent that to that board. And so that was one of the major reasons why they wanted to speak to me. 'Cause they wanted to know, so do you really feel that a man cannot cannot you're saying that you can't, a man cannot make a woman have oral sex? And and I told him, I explained to him that was taken out of context. I'm talking about in a normal, uh, 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 uh you know, normal operating relationship, when no one life is being threatened, no one is feeling pressured, no one is have a weapon or something that you feel like, if I don't, or somebody's exploiting it was not this was in a non exploitive situation. That's to me is the best way to do that, because typically if somebody is coerced verbally to do something that they don't want to do, it's obviously someone is as either verbal, psychologically, or physically abusive, and they're trying to prevent that from happening by submitting to that behavior, or they're using financial abuse as a means for you to keep yourself going, as far as living with them or living in a certain manner, so you feel like you're doing something you don't want to do to maintain. I mean, so I kind of broke down into what is more of an exploitive situation or abusive situation. I was not talking in reference to that. I was talking about merely two people who are engaged with each other, who are interacting, and a person gives a proposition, and I nearly said the person has free will to do it or not do it. And so I had to literally sit there and explain that. And so I'm actually glad I had to explain that, because then I showed the information, the stuff that they did on me, and they were like, "Wow!" They could not believe the things that this person said. I showed them where they put uh, um, department supervisors of the Texas Criminal Justice Department to contact them in order to get at me and stuff. And they were perplexed at what they did and the intensity that it was done at. And I said, yes, and this is I said and I told them, yes, I did say some bad things. Yes, I was online cursing and yelling at people, but I never said anything to compromise uh, uh, the nature of what I do, having a domestic violence program, because I do understand the sensitivity that you have to have towards people who've been abused, who were verbally, physically manipulated and financially manipulated to do things in that manner that they did not want to do. That was not the manner in which I spoke, and so I had to explain that to them. And so by them taking, and let me tell you, and this is this I'm gonna tell you the irony of it. So the irony is that they tried to hurt my business, and they tried to hurt my domestic violence status, and they actually helped it, because at the end of the day, what the two investigators did, I was telling them issues that I had with the program and things I need to improve. They gave me information and tools and connections to improve my viability in the program. They had no intent of taking anything away from me. I explained everything thoroughly and effectively. And they actually helped my ability to operate and to use them as a reference or as a tool to if I have any problems. So he didn't, and so, but even though that happened at the end, it went in my favor. I didn't like the fact that I had to sit there for almost 2 hours and explain myself over some stuff on YouTube. I didn't like the
Mm-hmm.
fact that I had to contact police um, for harassment. I didn't like the fact that the same lady, Andrew Michelle Stewart, paid a guy that lives in Houston who actually lived literally less than 5 minutes from my office in Houston. This Negro went live on my channel because I didn't know he was walking towards my channel. This Negro went live walking towards my office, threatening to fight me outside. This was literally, and you can actually go back, and I think this happened in April. The video is still up. While I was basically talking to about 6 or 7 other people about some church sector stuff and different things going on in the sector, he was literally walking with a camera. I didn't know what he was doing, but I knew the area looked familiar. He was literally yelling outside, saying, "Come down and see me," actually threatening to fight me. So I had to call the police and I had to file, and I threatened to file a restraining order against him. And so I did file a report. I was given directions to file a restraining order. So the issue occurred that when I wanted to file the restraining order, the office was closed due to COVID. So when I filed the complaint in I think April or May, they didn't open up until September.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to wait. And then when they opened up, they told me I was gonna have to come there like 6 o'clock in the morning and wait for like 3 hours. And so being that all this time and to me, I just let it go because the sector was very fickle about my interaction with him, and they actually blamed me for his mental health issues. And which I mean, and the sector, and again, this sector, there's a lot of people with a lot of convoluted ideas, and they don't have like their ability to use logic is is delayed, I would say. So they were saying that you should have not been engaging when in fact I was not engaging. Um, the guy was coming on my channel trolling. I tried to let him say whatever or I block him. Then you go on somebody else's channel talking crazy about me. And then you telling me I'm not engaging you directly if I choose to say things on my channel. You don't have to be there. I don't go on other people's channel engaging with you. That's being direct, more direct. They were telling me that I was just supposed to ignore him and let him say whatever he wanted to say about me, even if it wasn't true. And so what we found out was that he was being paid $300 to $400 to beef with me a month. And so what we found out is that a lot of the people who were attempting to go at me and do things, they were being paid to do this.
You know what? Now you just confirmed, Lord have mercy, God will put people in your path. Now I have heard, because I have not seen, so I cannot sit here and say that, but I have heard that people have actually paid others to go at people such and such. So what you just explained almost confirmed that this type of behavior actually happens.
Oh yeah, it happens. It happens. And so it was so crazy when this happened because I'm gonna tell you how it
Please.
got out. And so when the whole situation happened between him coming to my office, it caused a big ruckus in the sector because they never seen something in real time like that, where somebody was really trying to see someone in real life, and that could have been on camera. Uh, the safety aspects of it. The guy doxed my dad looking for me. And then he threatened to dox my son, and that's when I lost my composure, and I went off, and I did purchase a few things in case uh something go happens. You know, it was not going to be a good it was not going to be a good outcome for him. I'm just going to put it like that. And so I was forced to do that because of that. He said the high school that my son attends, and so I'm like, what son, I'm like, brother, what are you doing? I'm like, if you do anything, I'm telling you, um, whatever happens gonna happen. This is you. I'm like, look, you're going too far. You out of line. This is not necessary. Look, you go your way, you go my way. We don't have to interact. Matter of fact, Go Eyes, don't you know that yesterday when I went live, he made 3 attempts to come up through all of that history, right? That I'm just telling you about. He had the audacity to come on my chat yesterday to ask me questions about what I was talking about.
You are joking.
I am not joking. He actually, and then he said, I just want to ask you questions. He put that in the back chat. And I just literally kicked him off every time. Because I'm like, brother, you have the audacity to try to speak to me after the bullshit that you tried to do. Like I'm like, where do these people come from that like, do you all understand this is not a game when you try to make something real? Like, there's no more, like, this is not cyberspace. If you take something further outside of cyber, it's real. You know, sane people do not go bothering people like that or do things to that level. A sane person, a person with um, a lucid thought process, is not going to do and say stuff like this. And I literally kicked them out. I didn't say anything. I could have yelled and said all kind of crazy stuff to the section. They knew who I. If I would have mentioned him, they would have knew exactly what was up with him, and they would have triggered them to say stuff. I didn't need, because it wasn't about that. It was about the lady that we were talking about, who is potentially using district attorney resources to dox people, because it's no to this day I'm trying to figure. You had to have used that type of those resources to know I had a domestic violence program. You just can't find that. And it's not posted public because I'm not fully credentialed. I'm not fully um, uh, accredited yet. I have a temporary accreditation, and they don't
But
they don't post. Huh?
isn't that almost like stalking you?
It could be cyber stalking, cyber intimidation. Yes, things of that sort. Yes, and so I'm kind of like, there's no way you would have known about that unless you use some type of government uh, utility to find that out. They don't post you public until you become fully accredited. They don't. They don't. You have to go through a 2-year accreditation process before they decide to do that. And so these were the things that I went through. I mean, these things were. Uh, I had people calling my office, told them that they didn't believe I owned the business. So they called my business thinking that they were going to get me fired. And my office manager said, "Why are these people calling you, thinking that you're going to get fired from a business you own?" And I just shook my head, and I told her, "Look, if these people call you and they mention something about me, just hang up in their face. Don't even take the call. Don't take the message. Just hang up." So these were the things that were happening, and because I do have a level of information that is public, these people find it means to try to harass you by calling your business.
Did you document all of that And
Yeah, yeah.
okay,
This, yeah. I contacted law enforcement several times. Matter of fact, one situation, a law enforcement actually called the people who were doing things back. I actually tried to do a cease and desist letter, but the address that I had, it was sent back because she was dodging it. She dodged the being served. So it ended up going to a wrong, what was, I guess, the wrong address.
wow.
Yes, these were the things that happened.
So, have you had any type of contact with this woman?
Never, never direct contact.
Jeez.
Right. It was all indirect stuff. You know, she's calling the boards, lying, saying that, and then she has people right now thinking that. And I'm like, ladies, like, and I know for people that you're not familiar with the field, you know, you'll believe somebody just said she basically told them, like, you have, you know, she has people thinking that the complaints that she filed equal to me. It basically caused me to be reprimanded because of her complaint when it wasn't. And and the sector, again, we have some low level thinking people. I actually showed them the letter of them throwing it out, and I'm like, why are y'all still entertaining this woman? And so that leads to me saying what happened today. Today, I overheard a content creator that I support. He didn't like the fact that uh, due through me giving information about her working for the DA's office and stuff, I told the sector, look, this lady has hurt multiple, at least 8 to 10 people in this sector easily. If y'all are still supporting her, I'm not supporting you anymore. I'm not. And look, and I said that I don't have no issues with you, but if I see you're live and I support your channel, if I see it, I'm leaving. I'm not staying, and I'm not going to stay there to see you um, basically continue to support somebody who's doing this to people. And so a guy today didn't like the fact that I stated that, and he was saying the fact of, well, they don't really have nothing to do with me, so why are you gonna penalize me for something I didn't do? Or he said the fact that, you know, if you didn't handle your business on that, you know, that's between y'all. And I'm like, this is real life. This is not YouTube. I have the right to not support your channel if someone I know that has caused harm to me is there. I don't want to be in their presence. If you don't want to empathize with me and feel like it's no big deal, well, you have that right. I just choose not to support you. And if I want to tell other people not to support you, I have a right to do that too. If you don't like that, then that we were just going to have to agree to disagree.
Absolutely.
Because in the real world, if you have two friends, right, and they're both intentionally doing stuff to hurt each other, like job or physically, you're going to make a decision whether or not you're going to put up with that or not, or they resolve it, and you move forward. You're not going to sit there and hang out with one friend that you know is trying to make somebody lose their job, and they got kids that married, and then you go to that friend and pretend nothing happened. And then when you go to the other one, the other one's doing the same. Like, come on, that is not how grown folks operate. You know, no one is going to sit there and allow, if you really have a friend, you're not going to allow your another friend to knowingly harm them, and you act like everything is okay. That's not how the real world works. It doesn't. I'm sorry. And so I get it. We're on YouTube, and you know, and you don't see the connection because you don't really know me, but I'm not about to um be cool with people that I know are harming other people. I'm not that type of I don't want that type of friend.
And see, that's the problem. I think a lot of people don't understand initially until it actually happens to them. And then the energy is quite different. And to have to endure, like I said, I'm sure there are so many different stories. This totally blew my mind because I had absolutely no idea. I mean, I know people, like I said, I've gone through stuff. There's other people that have gone through things, but there, there is absolutely no way that a person, just as you said, should think that you don't have a right to feel the way that you do, especially when you have had to waste time, perhaps money, potential clientele,
Right.
everything.
Right. Exactly. And so, and I'm like, see, that there were people who in the sector said the same thing until they became victimized. And I'm like, it's easy for you to say that when no one has tried to take what you've earned. It's easy for you to say that. I had people, another guy did a video about me. He actually tried to sue me. Is a guy from Detroit. He actually tried to sue me, but didn't even have enough money to do the transaction. And so what was funny, I made a joke about it because they sent me the email showing that he didn't have he had insufficient funds to file the report. And I thought that was hilarious. And
But
so
sue you for what though?
yeah, he sued me, but he wants to sue me because I'm doing YouTube videos, and he actually does way more videos about me. He actually slandered too. He actually said that I misused PPP loans and all this
Oh
kind of
my
stuff. He
God.
put up tax information that about me owing money to the IRS. And I'm like, man, I owe money to the IRS every year. I'm in business. Like, stop. It was just dumb stuff. But you want to sue me? And I told him he actually did a party claiming he was going to sue me for $50,000, and he thought I was going to be like scared about that. I laughed at it, and so he filed the report. He filed the claim. Right, 2 days later, they threw it out. They told him you didn't fill out this and that. He tried to do this like 3 times, and it was unsuccessful. The last 2 times he did it, they told him you didn't even have enough money to file a complaint.
Oh my God.
And so he gets mad at me, but he actually lost his. I'm going to say this though, I am not capping. He literally lost his job online because he called in sick and took personal days, right, to do YouTube videos.
I have heard, and this is a question to you from a licensed therapist perspective. In your rounds, if you will, do you think that this for some people can change their mental dynamic?
Yes, he can.
Are you serious?
Yes, yes, this can influence your mental health. Um, a lot of people that come online think that they can replace therapy. They can replace. They can basically replace therapy with YouTube. There are actually people who think that. They actually think YouTube is equivalent to therapy. Believe it or not, I have heard people in the sector allude to this fact, to that thought process. And there are people who are unstable people who should be seeking treatment. They think YouTube is an alternative to that. And a lot of these people, like the guy I'm talking about, he actually did a video based on what I did yesterday. And he said, I need to quit crying. I need to be held accountable for the stuff that I say and do. So you want to ruin my career and ruin the jobs of other people behind me having YouTube opinions. Like, stop, man. Like guys, I feel like I'm in the twilight zone sometimes I actually left the sector actually 2 months ago after the hearing that I had with the domestic violence uh program. Because I at that point I'm like, I can never um invest my time doing this when I have money to make, business to operate, growing, and stuff like that. I don't have time for this. If me being on YouTube interacting with you all mean I got to deal with this every so often because you don't like something I said, I would rather just leave. Like, you don't try to take somebody's livelihood based on a YouTube opinion. That don't even make sense. And the thing about it is, you're going to be unsuccessful. They're not going to hold anybody accountable. You understand that my ethics is binding to me working in the profession and to the client, not to YouTubers. And I'm like, can y'all understand this? And they can, and they don't get it. I am so exhausted with repeating myself and trying to get them to understand how difficult it is. It's not easy to take somebody's license unless you do something uh, totally irresponsible. Uh,
Absolutely.
and so there's no one strike or two strike rule. If you call somebody, let's say you purposely did something or used a treatment that you're not trained or something, and somebody kills themselves, you can lose your license on that one thing, or whatever. You get sued or you get suspended for a year or two or whatever. That's that's what happened. Nobody gives you strikes. If you commit a infraction based on the level of harm, that will determine whether or not you keep your license or you suspend it or you have some type of corrective plan. There's no one strike. They talked as if they were in a like the judicial system where they have three strikes and stuff like this. The three strike rule that doesn't apply to a license. So she put that information out, and these people just eat this shit up like it's gospel. And I'm like, I'm like, I'm not supporting y'all. If y'all sit there and this lady has hurt at least 8 to 10 people, at least minimum. And I'm being generous with that because probably more than that. There's no way I'm going to sit there and support you for supporting this person. No, because you're the person that's giving them ammunition to continue doing this. So if you got to suffer, you got to suffer. That's just the facts. And when
And
I go
and
live,
that is inevitable. And as I said when we initially began,
yeah,
it it comes, and you just don't know when.
right. And so like, and I was so, I'm gonna be honest.
Mm-mm.
That morning I just got the keys to my the office, the space that I'm getting ready to create a. I'm opening up a dollar store that's going to be open in about a month from now. I got the keys today. They just finished the HVAC and they had to do some renovations. Beautiful spot. They did the painting. They did the build out. I was supposed to be discussing that and celebrating that I'm moving forward with the dollar. That was what was supposed to be my content yesterday. Positive stuff. But I had to bypass that because of the importance of what the DA office told me when I called them. And they acknowledged that she still works there. And they gave me the number to a supervisor.
Wow. Well, congratulations on the dollar store. Well, what was meant for evil is turning out for good, but it's just unbelievable the lengths that some people I'm seeing now actually go.
Yeah.
So the others that you mentioned, and I don't need to know who they are they doing the same as far as fighting back, or are
Yes.
you like
There
picking?
are, I actually had um several people who contacted my email to get the name and number of the person. I had several people who did so. I expected at least 3 to 5 people. I actually had about 4 people that contacted me, and they got the information, and they contacted and left a message. We're all awaiting a response. If I don't get a response by Monday, Tuesday, I'm calling back again, and I'm going to ask to speak to a different caseworker. I mean, a supervisor. We had one person, Eyes. Her name was Eyes Antonio. We call her Eyes. Eyes basically spoke to the police about it. So she actually has
Wow.
the investigation. Um, there's a couple other people I'm not gonna name, but several people that were on the panel. They came and talked. I got email. So yeah, we're trying to get her held. She's going to be held accountable for what she did.
And that's the bottom line. You have to understand when you create, let me back up. When you knowingly create these type of situations, and again, causing harm, where a person has to actually go out to seek to be made whole again, you must know that there are consequences to that.
Exactly. Yeah, they're going to be that consequences, and I wish this year I spent more time trying to hold, like, going to the constable's office. I'm talking on the phone with the lawyers, and I had to go and research. I had to research YouTube videos, and I'm like, I had to spend a lot of time where I could have been doing other things, making money, but I couldn't
Absolutely.
because I had.
Absolutely. And that's another thing people don't understand, because when it is you, and don't get me wrong, legal representation is awesome, especially if you have a good team. But depending upon what it is, and depending upon how bright you are yourself, this is how I am. I like to do the majority of the leg work that I know. Excuse me. I know how to do on my own, and then forward it on, because just as anyone else, people make mistakes, and when you have a large caseload that comes in, just like with doctors, unfortunately, people don't spend meticulous time going through your particular situation. It's not because they don't care, but it's because they have so many. You know your stuff more than anyone else does. So I feel more comfortable researching and doing what I can do, putting together a packet, and then sending it forward, than to entrust someone else to do everything. Because when you do that, critical things could be missed.
Facts. That's facts.
And that's another thing. You spend all this money on attorneys, and I work for some, and I caught things in pleadings, and that's why I get the work that I get and paid how I do, because I look over things. It's like in me. I'm trained to do that. So when I have issues that goes on, I know what I need to do. Now, there's certain things I can't do legally, and I'm not licensed to do, but what I know how to do, I do it myself, and then send it up for a final review.
Right.
And you need to do that because, again, in any type of case, whether it be civil or criminal, the end goal is to be made whole. And that is to be returned back to where you were prior to all of this BS happening. And people don't seem to realize is the time it takes for you, like you said, to make phone calls, to have meetings, to explain this, to research, to write. By the time you do all of that, you could be putting into planning for your business or whatever else you're doing. You cannot get that time back. So when I hear people say, oh, it's just YouTube, well, I was getting right, cuss. Wait till the ish happens to you. And now it's
Exactly.
happening to certain people now. And I'm not poking any bad energy, but it missed them, but it hit offspring or family members. And that's the danger in when you engage in that or you are associated with people who do that. Karma is no joke.
Facts.
And then, you want everybody to feel sorry for you, but you partook in when it was done to other people. Miss me with that. Because I said that early on. Wait till it comes back.
Right.
And God is good. And I mean that in a way that you cannot think that you can cheer stuff along. I'm not talking about, like I said, the roasting and all that, but I'm talking about demonic things and think that nothing is going to come back.
Right.
It doesn't work like that. And then you want sympathy. Now, I wish no harm on anyone, but as I said, how do you feel now?
How do I feel?
No, I'm speaking
Oh,
in general. The people that actually support that type of stuff when the karma comes back. Did, did you ever think about, you know what? I did participate in such and such. Maybe I doubt if people even think that far.
they don't.
And that's what pisses me off.
They don't. They don't think about, the ramifications of what they're doing. They don't.
Well, people need to because it's real. You do not, it's certain things you do not say, and it's not limited to a gender, an age, or anything. People, no, let me say this no, human life from 8 to 80 matters.
Right.
It's as simple as that. You don't wish any harm on anyone or encourage it and think that it's not going to come back. And I keep saying this over and over. Most of the time, it's not going to come back on you. It's going to come back on something or someone you love. And that is what's going to hurt you the most.
Right.
But people don't listen because they think, oh, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I pray that it doesn't, but that is what bad energy returns. And I've seen it so many times. I have been a recipient of it. So I
Right.
know. I don't play with that. No, no, not at all. And people nowadays, I don't know what it is, but it seems like the level of evil is getting worse.
It is.
And that's why I asked the question as far as a therapist perspective is social media, I'll put it this way, can one be addicted to it as far as uh, monetary? Um, what else is out there? I mean, some people make very, very well. They
Yeah, they do.
lucrative and they make a very good name for themselves. So, do you think those things can be addictive?
Very much. See, YouTube. When you look at addiction, to YouTube, you can be addicted to the money if those who are making a lot of money, but you also can be addicted to the attention that you gain, particularly that people that don't have the notoriety in real life, but your YouTube popular or YouTube famous. That is very exhilarating to someone who's never had that type of success or attention before.
Oh, wow.
Yes, yes,
Wow.
and and so there are plenty. Matter of fact, I'm gonna give an example. There's a guy that just died in the manosphere space or the dating coaching space. His name was Alan Roger Curry. Alan Roger Curry was a major figure. Um, he was actually a somewhat mediocre comedian that had some success. He was on BET before. He wrote a couple of books on dating that were real popular, right? And he had some level of success. And then he came on YouTube and had some success. The guy died broke.
What?
And right now, there's a GoFundMe for 25K. His daughter, he. Let me tell you this. This is for guys in the space that now this guy's like 50 in his late 50s, mid to late 50s, and his wife is like 27, right?
Wow.
30 years older than his wife. She has a child. You get pregnant. Now you're that age having children, knowing that when they're an adult, you're almost, I mean, God forbid, but I mean, the chances of them living for you to see them as an adult was going to be slim. And you spent countless time telling men to walk up to women, asking them, "Do you want to have sex with me?" and stuff like, and and you died broke. You can't even.
Wow.
There's no way people with money don't get GoFundMe accounts. He died. He actually died over a week ago, and now they've been able to raise about maybe $4,300, and they have a goal of 25. But you were perceived as this player, this guy who had all his money, high value, this and that. I get all the young women, but you died broke.
Unbelievable.
Yes, he. Matter of fact, I saw this. There's a friend of mine in the manosphere that I've known for years. His name is O'Shea. He's making a ton of money.
Please don't say O'Shea. O'Shea Duke Jackson.
Yeah, that I know him. I know him offline. I know him for real. I've been knowing him for years. Like I really know him. Matter of fact, I haven't texted him or called him in about 3 months. But we talk a lot. And when O'Shea posted this, I was like, oh my damn God, are you serious? And O'Shea did not really like him like that. They actually fell out. And I'm like, this supposed to be Mr. Mode One. Walk up to I'm the player. I can get all the ladies. I got me a young wife, hot wife, and I got this, my kid, I'm settled down now in my, I think Alan was probably like 50. I think he was about 56, 57, maybe. He's in his mid to late 50s, at least because he got married like 2 years ago. And so she's 30 years younger than him. And this old man didn't leave you. I don't want to say the word old, but this older man.
Right, because I just turned 54.
It's okay. I'm not trying. No, but what I'm saying, I'm thinking about. I'm saying it from the perspective of her being 20. I want to say she's about 20. I think he married her at 25, 26.
Wow.
And so that's. I mean, 50 in your 50s is not old, but if you married a 20-plus-year-old person, that's someone's old enough to be you're old enough to be they father. That's a large range. Okay.
And not only that, as far as relations, if you will, are concerned, after 35, mid 40s, men kind of slow down.
Yes, they do.
Women in their 50s speed up, so to speak.
Right. And so she basically would have expected a man of that age should have. That's just me speaking. I'm 45 and I got these things, but I'm just saying I know I don't even plan on working. I don't think my plan is I'm gonna probably be retired by in about 10 to maybe 10, maybe in my 60s. But definitely, as far as me working daily, I'm gonna be semi-retired, or it's gonna be self-operating when I'm in my mid 50s at least. Okay, and so at that age, you're winding down. Like you should have a retirement. You should have at least multiple life insurance policies. You should have money in the bank. You should be liquid. You should have stocks. You should have assets. You should have a house. And so what that tells me is that you were living a lifestyle and lying to the people about what you were doing and the women you were dating, and you left this woman penniless with your child.
Unbelievable. I spoke on that not too long ago about, excuse me, the importance of um, financial literacy, making sure that you do have something left
This
to
man had
fall back
nothing.
on.
This man had nothing left. If you mean to
Oh my
tell me
gosh.
you asking for you did a $25 a 25K GoFundMe account, you should have life insurance policy. You had a book. What happened to the residuals from the book?
Absolutely.
And he had actually had that book was a bestseller. That book was not a just a any that book actually sold quite a bit of copies. And you died broke. I'm actually planning on doing content on that, if not Saturday, probably Sunday. Because this is like there's another guy that died. His name was got the guy named Kevin Samuels died. They said he didn't have as much money as people thought. There was another guy before him that passed away. He was basically living with his sister and his brother and his wife. He was homeless, and
Wow.
they had to do a GoFundMe for him.
See, this is why I say sometimes that everybody, you can be whoever you want to be behind the computer and the keyboard, but somewhere somebody really knows the real you. So it's not always fruitful to embellish too much.
Right. And I'm like, come on, man. Like you guys want to tell you sitting here in your 50s trying to tell this is how you got to treat women. This is how you get women. This is how you get laid.
Well, see,
And
I'm
you don't
I'm
even
not a
have money
fan.
in the bank.
I'm not a fan of the manosphere anyway.
Right. I'm not
That's just me personally. I'm not.
right. But I'm like, if you're gonna talk like that, you need to have all your bases covered. You should have your stuff together. If you're gonna tell what kind of like what women you deserve, and I'm a player this and I'm a player that, and so what this shows is you living a rugged life and you died broke.
But it wasn't because he didn't have the means. It was because of, I guess, just not preparing or spending frivolously.
Yes, he see this is what's not told. Single men typically don't manage their money as well as married men because
Wow.
single men don't. Most single men spend their money running behind women. I'm just gonna be frank about it. They spend their money on frivolous things and they run behind women. Married men are forced to have to plan for the future and want to make sure that their wife or children have something left behind if something happens. They're thinking of responsibilities, you know.
Absolutely. They conceptualize, and that's what a lot of people don't do now. But it's almost shocking that if you have been blessed with the means to save, and especially if you had a young woman like that, but let me back up a little bit. Let me put the car in reverse. Did she truly love him, or what she thought? Perhaps she
If he
could
didn't
have.
have money to pay, she had to truly love him. If he had money to pay for his own funeral,
No, I'm saying
it
before
can't
he
be for the
passed away.
money.
No, before he passed away, did she think that, or was she,
I don't know.
I guess, enamored with all of these material things?
And then he had sponsorships. He had a sponsorship with that what do they call it? That it was the exercise light water or whatever it's mineral water.
See,
He
that
had
was just,
sponsorship with that, but I think she thought he had money. I think she did at the
I
beginning.
was about to say, because, see, that is completely irresponsible to have all of that money and not invest.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the onus falls on her, I guess.
Exactly. So, oh man, it. A matter of fact, I just learned this actually about maybe an hour or two before we went live because I was actually looking through my email to get the link, and then I said, let me just check a little bit, see what's on YouTube before I. And then I saw the post, and I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me.
Wow.
Are you serious? You mean to tell me? And he was like, "Hey, let's donate to my brother." Da, 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 rest in peace. And I checked the GoFundMe. There go his wife holding the child.
Wait a minute, they had a child?
Yes, yeah, that's what I said. He left his wife and
Of
child
course
with
you
nothing.
did, but the, okay. How old is this child?
The child's probably about maybe 2 years old. He only been married for like 2 to 3 years.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah, I think Alan got married during
Mm-mm-mm.
he got married in 2020. So they've been married for 2 years, almost 3 years. Because he got married around COVID, during COVID.
Mm.
Yeah, he's been married for 2 years.
But, and I don't want this to sound ignorant, but don't you think, or isn't it, no, I'm not going to say protocol, but isn't it the intelligent thing or responsible thing before you get married to ensure that you have these insurances and things like that in place? I mean,
Facts, facts.
isn't that what you do before counseling or during counseling, or
Um,
no?
you mean marital counseling?
Yes.
If you're doing premarital counseling, now we don't typically talk about uh but we do discuss finances. What like, I mean, not to that extent, but I do think as a therapist, you do want to bring up, are there financial things going on that may need to be discussed. And I do think it, pretty much it's up to the clients to discuss whether or not things are okay. But you do talk about finances to a certain extent, you know not to that level of now as therapists we don't give financial advice, but we may talk about, hey, so like, based on y'all being married, what are your goals as far as building your life? Or you planning on, like, do y'all have the same value as far as saving money, spending money, buying a house? Like, how do y'all plan to live? That comes up, and then you can kind of, but we don't give advice telling people what they should do with their money. But this guy did not even have a life insurance policy.
See, that's the part that perplexes me, because even at 25, well, let me ask you this, and I don't even know if this matters or not. Um, was it the same culture marriage?
Yes.
So I just don't understand, and this is just me, even at 25, how you would not ask, how those things wouldn't be a discussion.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you this, and I'm gonna say this now. For me, I'm gonna say this. When I was 20, I got married at 27. And when I was 25, um, I had policy. Policy. This was even before I got married or whatever. But I thought about these things, but it was not like heavy on my mind per se. But I did have it, but it wasn't like to me seen as a priority. And so what I'm thinking is that he married a person that just wasn't financially literate. literate. Excuse me. She wasn't literate in regards to that. She just was, going with the flow, enamored with him, and that was seen as secondary.
Wow, that is so sad. I hope that there's some family support there.
I hope so too.
Oh my
But
God, that is horrible.
the reality is that she married a man that she thought had more um, thought that he had resources, and being that, and I'm gonna be honest, if my daughters would marry a man, which I would not encourage them to do, if they were, the first thing I would ask them, you're gonna have to make sure, being that he's that age, he should. One of the most attractive things for women, younger women, dating or marrying older men is because they are financially stable.
Absolutely.
That because I'm way more well off than I was when I was 25, 26, opposed to me being 45. But that's one of the more attractive things about it. And the being that he wasn't. He
Mm,
was not.
mm, mm. But the thing, the sad part is, it's not because he could not have been. It is being irresponsible.
This guy was spending money going to conventions and doing traveling, doing all kinds of crazy shit. And I know this for a fact because I've heard him speak on many occasions. He's traveled the world. Um, you know, um, he's done a lot of things, and he spent a lot of money running behind women.
But that was before he got married, though, right?
Huh?
That was prior to him marrying, correct?
Right? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but he only been married for like 2 years.
Well, you had a point there. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that is something that needs to be um, incorporated to people getting married, to make sure that there are coverages. And I know it's not a pleasant conversation, but again, as I said, this is even more stress on that young woman. And then I can't even imagine.
I'm gonna tell you what she's gonna end up doing. And this is what I usually see when um she's probably when I see young widows like this, because I've actually
Wow,
had
widow
situations
at
where,
25. Jesus.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
she's a little, she may be like 27, 20, but she married him around 25. So she's about 27, which is not a big difference. And so what's going to end up happening, what I think is going to happen is that um she's going to spend about a good 8 to 12 months processing his death.
Mm.
She's going to struggle unless she has good family support. And what she's going to do is she's going to probably um date another older guy. And she's probably going to marry for money this time.
Wow.
To because what she's going to think about is you know I still got youth in me. I'm not going to make the mistake again. I need to take care. I need someone that's going to take care of my son and take care of me. And I'm not going to be in this situation again. And so she'll probably, instead of dating somebody probably 50s, probably be like in his late 30s, I'm going to say late 30s to mid 40s, be a little younger. And that's what she's going to do. I've seen situations where women who've had um they were used to living a certain lifestyle when
Yes.
their husband was alive, or they had or they got a divorce, or the person died and they widowed and they didn't have money. A lot of the women like that seek sugar daddies and guys that can financially. They'll go to the extreme to find someone to make sure that they can financially support them. So they'll look for rich or well-to-do 6-figure plus guys on purpose. They're not, prior to that, they probably never looked at it like intentionally, but they'll begin to intentionally look for guys with a certain level of income.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of them do, so that they can maintain a certain lifestyle, and and because they're going to refuse to put themselves in that position again. Unfortunately, a lot of women who do that, they overlook certain character traits.
I was
And
about to say, aren't a lot of these men, well, is a possibility of a lot of these men that they already know this or expect this, so they could be somewhat harsh, or they may treat these women as options because they know that some women will accept it, or at least willing to accept it, to be quote unquote kept.
yeah, some men do, like, especially if he know, like, I'm gonna say this, if a guy is dating, let's say, someone that's over 15, 20 years younger than them, they kind of think about that. Like, I know I would. I mean, I'm 45. If I was dating, and let's say I was interested in somebody 25, the first thing I think is, wondering, is she just dating because I got money? Because because I'm way old. You can get somebody your age that's better, that's on your pace, that's more attractive, better health, better everything. Because they're younger. Why would you want to date an older guy? And so, um, you know, I would think that would be the logical thing to think of. It's no way, just being me, that I would think that I could have a legitimate relationship with somebody 20 years young. It's no way. It's no way I would think that would work. But of course, a guy would think that she's wanting me because I of my resources.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, that's the logical thing, because you wondering, it can't be because I'm as young as she is, or whatever. I mean, um, we really don't have that much in common, to be honest. Really, I'm sorry, but people who are 20 years younger live in a whole different generation, and they think about certain things in different ways. As you usually don't have a whole lot in common. You don't. Now, you may have certain common interests and things you like to do together and stuff, but the music is different. The way you operate, function, think of the world, perceive things, different era, different process.
and and unfortunately, but this is truth. It may be a hard truth, but energy levels could also be completely different.
Oh yeah, the energy level is going to definitely be different. I didn't get around like now as opposed when I was 25. I was way more energetic. Night and day. That's just facts. I mean, that's just part of life.
Absolutely. So when that happens, do you think people tolerate that, or do you think there's any deep-seated resentment, because they still have a lot of energy and life left, and they want to enjoy it, but because their significant other perhaps may not have or cannot match the same, there could be some type of internal issue
Yes,
there. I'm
those
not sure if there's a term for it, but you know what I'm speaking
especially
about.
sexual wise. um let-
Definitely.
yeah, and the issue is that these older guys, even with taking pills, he still ain't gonna be able to keep up. I'm just like, let's just be honest. You're not, and this is the issue that the younger woman gets when they deal with these older guys. Um, Initially, you're not seeing that person every day. It's more of a, we get together and have fun, and blah blah blah. But when you have to see, marriage is a marathon. It's a day-to-day marathon. It's not a sprint. So when you have to deal with things day to day, you start reflecting on this, and then things come apparent that, damn, I like to get out and do all these things. He likes to sit and stay and watch TV, and it. You start realizing that the compatibility is not there.
Hmm. You just hit the nail on the head. So, what do you suggest for people like that?
That are married to somebody 20 years younger than them.
Well, that, and when you realize that those energy levels are different.
Um, well, the only thing I can recommend that is there a way for the person to increase doing things, or you find things uniquely um um pleasurable for both of you, like, in more, in the lack of a better word, you're gonna have to find things that you both find pleasurable to do together.
Okay, that makes
if
a
you
lot
find
of sense.
if you find more things that you enjoy doing together, you focus on doing those things, uh instead of trying to look at it like, well, I like these things and you like these things. Well, we need to start finding more things that we like to do and enjoy to do as a team together, and focus on increasing the occurrences of that.
Well, obviously, there's a formula for that, because I see a lot of older couples that they're so cute. They are so cute. They're active. They're holding hands. Um, they're actually living out, to me, the best part of their life.
Yeah.
Together and enjoying it. Where there's obviously some disconnect there.
Right. And the thing about it is, a 28-year-old is going to want to go party, uh
Mm-hmm.
hang out, go for drinks, and
Mm-hmm.
dance and move around, and the 55 may not want to do that as often. It's just, I'm just being honest. But don't get me wrong. I mean, I mean, if you take good care of yourself, I mean, your fifties is not. I mean, you could still, if you take good care of yourself, you can still do those things, just not as repetitions as somebody in their 20s. So I mean, it could work, but for the average in that age range is not. It's just too, there's just too many differences.
It is. And then you mentioned earlier about pills and things like that. And I don't mean to laugh, but I mean, that is a part of a long term relationship. And unfortunately, there are some things that can happen. Sometimes it's medical.
Right.
Um, you could also, quite honestly, lose that desire, for many reasons.
Yes.
So it's just a lot, but I'm laughing because I know of a situation. Me and a girlfriend of mine were talking. This man she met, her first husband was very abusive, and she met someone else who is considerably older than she is, but he has issues, and she attractive, and other men finds her attractive, but this man loves her so much, wants to marry her, but she's told me that she has been, how can I put this? She's been natural in front of him, and still nothing would happen. And she said they've gone to the doctors, and everything is just, there's a problem. And she told me that as much as she loves him, she doesn't know how much longer she can wait around, because she said that one time when he did take something, that he was in that state for a long,
A
a
long
long,
time.
and I really don't want to laugh, but it was the way she explained it. And I'm like,
Right?
oh God.
He
I
didn't
mean,
want to
just
stop.
the imagery. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he didn't want to stop because he wanted to take advantage of the moment.
And she was like, "You're not going to kill me."
Thank you. Exactly. Yeah.
But she was like, he had a medical issue, and doing that could cause more harm medically. And she did not want that for him. So it's like a really bad situation. So I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. She said, because
Did
she
he have a
didn't want to
bad
cheat
heart?
on him. I'm sorry.
Did he have a bad heart?
I think it's high blood pressure or something other like that. And to be honest, for his age, very attractive. But I mean, again, that's part of a relationship. I'm not going to say it's all of it, but I mean, she got to the point where she was feeling that it was something wrong with her.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And I mean, that can happen though, unless you communicate or go to the doctor. But yeah, when she explained that, I mean, I must have laughed 10 minutes straight, because I had
Wow.
heard stories, but I mean, I'm not a man, so I don't know what these contraptions or things do. And now there's so much technology. I just, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And sometimes people fix things, and you might find yourself in a,
Right.
in a permanent state.
Right.
I mean, I
Maybe
don't
to
mean
the
to be
list. Maybe
facetious,
take
but
half a
you
pill.
don't know though.
Take half a pill next time.
Something. But seriously, I feel sorry for her, because I know he is super good to her. Anything she wants, I mean, money wise. Um, but she said that's a problem. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I, that is something I think would be very difficult to try to overcome. Well, maybe not
It's
totally
difficult to
difficult.
overcome. It's
Oh,
very
okay.
difficult.
Well, you know better than I do.
Yeah, it's not easy to overcome that. I've had men come in for therapy. The oldest guy I ever had that came, I had a guy 74 that came in, and I'm like,
74.
yeah, but he was in great shape. He was 74 years old. His wife was in her late 50s, and he could not, manage, and it caused him, he was getting a little depressed about it. And this guy was educated on so many different options, and he just knew everything. And He tried all kinds of stuff. He wanted to try everything except for some other surgery that uh it's some surgery that this works, but it the thing about it is they have to insert something in you to make it work.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I never heard of this, and when he told me about this, I'm like, are you for real? And he's like, yeah, you got to press this button and this, and I'm like, are you serious? He talked about stuff like a pump, and it was, man, he knew all, it's like several different things, and
Sounds like a
nothing worked. And
troubleshooting.
then he found these herbs,
Oh,
um and he told me that he took the herbs every day. There was some rare stuff from Africa that he got mailed to him, but it worked. But you have to take it like every day. Like it's like a small thing, like, to you don't want to you got to take small dosage every day. And so he said that when he took it, it took about a week for it to start working, where he would uh basically get erect, have an erection naturally. Uh so he went with that. So
the word said it's called monkey dust.
nah, it was, I've heard of that. He actually told me about that. I didn't know anything about that till he told me, but it was some like weird name. It was multiple things. It was like um 3 or 4 different herbs.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It was like 3 or 4 herbs that he took, and he kind of mixed it up and took taking it. Man, he did all kinds of research. He even knew stuff from Doctor what's that guy name that's on the internet that quote CB Doctor
Dr. Sebi.
Sebi.
Yes.
Yeah, he knew stuff about him and vitality for sex, and man, he knew. I mean, when I say he researched everything, he researched everything.
Oh,
Uh,
bless his heart. So he really wanted to have um, everything perfect with his marriage. Well, bless him. That's
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah. The thing about it is his wife didn't have interest, so it kind of,
Oh,
yeah, so that caused the problem.
but why didn't she have interest anymore? I mean, they were almost the same age.
Nah, she's like 57. He's 74.
Well, well, don't.
That's not the same age. That's like 15, 16 years. That's
I
almost
told you I wasn't good at math, but okay. So people don't think about that. Then they don't think about when you get older.
nobody wants to think about when they get older. No, nobody thinks about, for the most part. Of course, we expect to change, but nobody expects uh to think about how their body's going to change long term when they get older.
I'm not even going to.
Yeah, because nobody wants to think about,
But it's reality, though.
yeah, it is reality, but nobody wants to think, particularly men. Men definitely don't want to think about, uh, being less than as you get older. And that's not something we, want
So how
to.
do you prepare them to think? Because as I said, I know for a fact, not all, but you teetering around 45, 50, some things aren't the way they used to be.
Right,
And that's just, I think that's natural. And I don't think men know that early on until they get to that age.
right,
Wow.
yeah.
Well, do
Things
you
slow
think
down.
those,
See,
you think those, would you suggest, because I know you're not licensed medically or anything, but um, that they couples research things prior to? and think about that as they get older, because the goal is to, they say, for better, for worse.
Right. I mean, when you get older, I mean, you expect things to go down, but I'm gonna say the best thing I can say is best advice I have is to take care of your body, take care
Yes.
of yourself, and be healthy. The healthier you are, the better you'll be.
Yeah,
So
because older people are living longer, as you said.
yeah,
I
they
mean,
are.
I see people now in their 70s riding bikes, I mean, miles. So I see it.
Right. I'm gonna tell you this joke. This is like one of the funniest things that ever happened to me in therapy. I was having group therapy with with some seniors at this facility, right? Where it's a government funded facility, and they asked us to come once a week to do therapy and do individual sessions. And so uh, I was talking to these elderly people were well in their late 70s, early mid 80s. I think the guy was like that I'm speaking of. It was like these were black people. This is a guy that was like 79. This other lady was like 84, and another guy he's like maybe 77. He was like late 70s too. But I did therapy with him, and then I did a group therapy session, and we were talking about uh intimacy at that age. And most people are like widowed or whatever at that age, or they either wasn't married or they lost a spouse. And we were talking about being active, it went well. And then this happened. The 84-year-old woman stated, because they all live alone, right? And they all live on the same floor. So one of the guys and one of they actually stay right on side of each other. They like apart, like the one is apartment one, the other one apartment two, right? So the female stated, and this lady looks good for her age. She's 84 years old. She's healthy. She says she still wanted it to be sexual, right?
I
and she
can't even imagine.
but listen, the guy's 79 and he actually in good health too. He was when she started talking about things that she fantasized, like she actually talked about, I don't like sleeping alone. I just wish I could be laid up with a man at night. I miss being with a man. I just wish I had a man with me at night. I get lonely. I just wish I could just grab them. She was just graphic about what she wished she could have with a man. And this guy could not believe his ears. And they were like friends. They like play dominoes and stuff, little stuff like that. And she was like, yeah, she was like, like she said, when it gets like lonely at night, late at night, I just feel sad that I don't have a person. And that guy was like, what? What do you mean? I can't believe. He was like, you could ask me, you could talk to me.
Wow.
he was
Oh,
he was adamant. He was so like shocked and like, so you mean all this time we've been friends, you've been wanting this and I've been wanting this, and like we not, like
oh.
I'm hearing this in therapy session.
Well, I
It
mean,
took
I don't
every
think, I mean, I'm
it
not
took
that age, but I don't think that that desire dies in everyone. I
no,
mean, they
it
may have
doesn't.
some issues, but I mean,
Man, it took everything for me to contain myself. It
boy,
was
it sounds
the
so
way he
cute.
said it, it was like, soon as we leave this group, this therapy session, we gonna have to have a talk.
They were gonna, I don't think they would have any problems.
Yeah, I was like, because he was like, huh? He was like, as she was talking
Oh,
about what she was missing, you should have just saw it was priceless to see the facial expressions. Like he could not believe he didn't even think the woman had those type of urges. He was like, like all this time we wasted and we ain't got all the time in the world. And he was like,
nope.
he was so um shocked and excited. He was like,
Oh,
you could have called me, you could have talked, you could have knocked on my door. I would have been ready. I was like,
oh, bless their hearts. See, that is what I'm talking about. That is too cute.
yeah,
Well, at
yeah,
least they were active, and you said we're still um, taking care of themselves, and that's the important thing, to take care of not only your bodies but your minds, because at that age to still be able to have all of your cognitive faculties, that speaks volumes too,
it
because
does.
I know there are people in their 50s, they start to lose a little bit of their memory, and there are a lot of things that go on that change.
Right, right, and so yeah, it was crazy. That was to me one of my most fun experiences as
Oh,
a therapist, because that totally caught me off guard. Like I was just expecting it to be like, okay, we're talking about, yeah, if I had a friend to maybe play pity pat with a spade, or, and it
no,
went
you
to,
did not say pity pat. My mom used to play that.
yeah,
That is too funny.
yeah, pity pat a spade or something, a trunk tunk or something. And I'm thinking they
Yes.
just want to just do activity. They was literally talking about, like, I want to be sexual, I want this, and like it was, the lady was like, it's like, this is what she said, like at night is just like the most, she said that's like the toughest part of the day for her to be going to bed alone.
Wow. Well, I can imagine how some people that actually do have significant others and they have that quote unquote shell there, but because of certain things, they're still alone.
Yeah, yeah.
So it works both ways. Wow. Well, that went a different direction, but that's good info. No, it's really good information. Something that really needs to be definitely discussed, because again, a lot of people are embarrassed to talk about certain situations, and I don't really think they should be, because I mean, it's reality for a lot of people. But as far as that situation, do you think it's going to be rectified soon, or do you think it's going to play itself out for a bit, as far as that live I walked into, or is this going,
Oh,
or is this
that
just
that's going to be a process. That's going to play.
wow?
It's going to be it. We're going to have a that's going to be a process. Because of because we got to look at what we're looking at right now is, once things have been validated as far as her, we do know she works there. We, because when I asked, they wanted to transfer me over. Um, there's going to be a process, and then we got to look at everybody. We're trying to decide how we're going to work in tandem with one another,
Mm,
to give them this information, and to possibly look at, suing her together, or and also the DA's office, that they're liable for this. So we're trying to look at all aspects of where we should go
wow.
with this, particularly with her, criminal and civil, is what we're looking at. I'm going to say probably the middle end of next week we'll have more information to keep people posted about this situation.
Well, that should be a lesson. Well, you know what? It's unfortunate. You can do that, but until someone really is made an example out of, unfortunately, you're still going to have a few that will still do the most, if you will. And it's unfortunate.
Right.
People
So
work too hard. And like I said, when it comes to your household, that is no joke.
yeah.
People can get hurt that way. As a matter of fact, there was someone over the summer, I believe, that was either a subscriber or connected to YouTube somehow, but was the perpetrator in the New York subway shooting.
Yeah, that was a guy in the manosphere that did that.
What?
Yes.
See,
Yeah.
you're
His
not
name.
getting me to go in that
His,
area. Nope, nope, nope.
yeah, he was a manosphere listener. His name was Black. Because he had some pro-black sentiments and stuff too, but he was very damn, I forgot his. It was Black. Gnostic something, whatever. I forgot. But I do know he was in the manosphere though. He was a manosphere. He had videos. He had videos, and he listened to certain people. Yeah, that was a manosphere guy that did that.
So do you see this manosphere growing, or do you see it decreasing after a certain? I mean, I don't know a whole lot about it, but the little bit that I've heard, it to me it seems like
Um,
almost like a put down of women or black women sometimes.
yeah,
Not all the time,
yeah,
but some of the time.
that's basically what it is. What I
That's sad.
what happened when Kevin Samuel became popular, they seen a lot of growth. Um, I think that it's going to continue to grow until YouTube get tired of dealing with them, and then they'll start deleting their channels. That's basically what I think is going to happen. They're
But
going
there
to
are
get.
a lot of people that
Huh?
there are a lot of people that actually are jumping on that and
Right.
agreeing with that. And then I've seen a lot of debates, and the word asked the question, "What is the ideology behind the manosphere?" That's actually a good question. Like I said, I don't listen to too much of it. Some of the content I've heard, I'm like, you're not gonna get me riled up.
Yeah. The ideology comes from the Matrix.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
He said, "Okay, the Kevin Samuel sector." Dang, everybody has a sector. But
Yeah.
I don't think Kevin. I don't think he was the pioneer of it, right?
No. Kevin Samuel was when Kevin Samuel was in the manosphere, he wasn't even really liked. They didn't even like him until he became popular.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when he was a content creator, that they used to call him saying that he was LGBT, and they would kick him out of panels, and they didn't really start liking him until he became popular.
Well, he grew exponentially after a little bit of time.
Yeah, he had some videos that went viral, and so
Absolutely. So I mean that was interesting. But no, a lot of videos that I hear about that I mean I've heard about what do you call it? Passport? Was it
brother,
passport boys or something?
yeah,
Passport
passport, brother.
guys? Something.
Their manosphere too.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah, that's manosphere too. They're in the same sector.
So is that dangerous to, or is that dangerous for people to come? What's the word I'm looking for? To even get involved with, or is it to each his own?
It's to each his own. I don't think it's dangerous to get into. It's I mean, my thing is a lot of people in there. I mean, it depends on you as an individual. Uh, you know, there are some
Yes.
extremists, but it's to each his own. You know, I won't put everybody in the same place, but it's to each his own.
Well, you have endured a lot, and you still laugh, and you're still growing. And again, this is to let people know that are listening now and may catch the replay that when people say it's just YouTube, trust me. And the story that you just heard from Coach D DERELL, That's not always true. Things do get off of YouTube, and it can cause individuals a lot of heartache and pain, and sometimes the worst. And I'll just leave it like that. And that's what I would hope that no one has to experience, because we do have individuals that they're sick in their heads.
Right. They are. They are very much so.
And it's not just men, because I still cannot believe this is a woman behind all of this.
Yes, and she's Latin. It's a Hispanic woman that's behind this.
Oh, oh.
Yeah, she's not black. She had people thinking she was black, but she's not black. I always knew she wasn't black. Her she is Hispanic.
So how in the world was she able to get so much backing? Not to say that,
Because nobody really knew her. They didn't know her identity. That's
but
the
she
thing.
was able to get all of your information.
Huh?
But she was able to get all of your information, all these other people, but no one
Yeah.
knew who she was.
Yes, through looking at
That's
it
crazy.
through the DA resources.
Oh,
She,
you're
she
welcome, Miss Queen. Oh my God.
she was
Yeah,
using
see, that's scary.
yeah, she's using government resources. And see, that's the complaint that we're making because she's using resources that are giving to her by her job.
So you mean to tell me this person actually works for a DA
Yes,
and is participating in this type of behavior?
yes, and that's why we're doing what we're doing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
That's potential jail time.
yes,
Do you know there's things called digital footprints, and you
exactly,
cannot scrub? I mean, you can. Well, it depends. You can do certain things, but you can't scrub certain things.
exactly.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
that is crazy.
that's the reality.
Now, see, I didn't know that this. Oh wow, I thought it was just a regular person that, um, people. First of all, there are a lot of people that will purchase, what do you call it? These um, interlist reports and all of this other stuff. Let me tell you all, those things are not always accurate. I have to skip trace people sometimes, and I'll ask the attorneys for the police report. Some of the police reports aren't accurate. So if you think when you're purchasing these reports in a malicious way to hurt people, all of that information on there isn't accurate. Sometimes you may have the wrong person. It's a lot, but that's what I see a lot of regular people doing. But I did not know this person you were speaking about actually works for a DA. That makes this even more scary.
Yes, exactly.
Wow. So since you know the identity, can you do something as far as, um, I don't know what remedy you would have?
Oh, she's going to lose her job and she's going to have criminal and civil charges. So, and that's why we contacted them directly to make them aware of what she's doing.
But can you do an interim cease and desist as far as the online stuff
We
for
can.
now?
The thing about it is she ran. I gave her a cease and desist letter a few months ago. She ran from it. And so I got to find out. Someone gave me another address to send it to that's more accurate. But yeah, we have the means to do that. So we are going to look into doing those things.
unbelievable. That takes a lot of you know what to be working in that capacity. Oh, that, oh my God. And you're right, that office could be, depending upon who you all get, held as a culpable party.
Yes, possibly.
Dang, I did not know that was actually happening.
Right.
I wouldn't want to be associated with that person because see, when that goes on, these people can be called in um to possibly uh I've got spam here, um possibly testify.
Right.
That's messy.
It is.
Well, I wish you the best luck on that. Um oh my God, I'm still in shock to find out that the location of this person works.
Yeah.
They have to know by now that you're
Yeah.
on to them.
Yeah. So we'll get more information next week. I expect to get a phone call. I expect to contact them if I don't hear anything, and we're gonna move forward. This is serious.
Well, I mean, again, when you do these things, as I said, um, you have to realize sooner or later that um, there are consequences to be paid, and hopefully, this will be the beginning, not just for you, but for so many that I'm sure have gone through or perhaps going through now this type of harassment and just interrupting your life.
Yes,
Jeez.
exactly. Interrupting my life.
Well, I mean, at least you're in good spirits because there are some that may not know what to do. And I would suggest that people realize that number one, you're not alone, and it is your right to seek assistance from whatever entity that's available to you and not be afraid to do it because if you don't, it's just going to continue. And
Right.
again, it depends on what it is. I mean, there are going to be people that don't like you, period, for whatever reason. That's not against the law. People are going to curse you out, do all these other kind of things. That's not against the law. But some of these actions, the threats and the doxing and involving children, I mean, families, no, that's got to, these things need to stop.
Right.
And it's not like there's a way you can gauge people what their mindset is before they get on social media. But once it's determined, it should be something done. And I said this a while ago when I was going through my situation that there really should be legislation on the books when there are people like this that are wreaking havoc. I mean, it has to be really bad, but I mean, it still should be protection for people um, who commit these type of acts.
Right. Right.
Wow. Well, I did, like I said, I am completely shocked, but I mean, as far as you're concerned, but geez, I
Yeah.
wonder how many other places people are going through this mess. I guess probably all over. We just
It's
don't hear
all over.
about it.
It's all over. All over YouTube.
Well, at least you have people behind you, because I saw the people that was supporting you. I was like, what in the world? So that's a good thing.
Right.
And one of the young ladies, like I said, she wasn't playing. I'm like, whoa, I don't know who that was, but I'm like, wow. Well, I'm glad that you're getting that under control, and hopefully you'll get the call you're looking for next week.
Right. If
Wow.
not, I'll be calling them and I will speak to other people. That's contact information that I have. That I will connect with someone. That's a definite.
Oh, I'm sure you will. Well, good luck on that, and I'm sure I'll be hearing about that when I see you up. But like I said, that was just on a humble. I caught that, and I was like, "What in the world?"
Right.
That's just, again, people are just unbelievable. And I think a lot of it, as I said earlier, some people are just miserable and they want others to be miserable too. I mean, people do things, but that's a stretch. I mean, that's a lot of work to put in to try to destroy a person.
Right. It is. And the thing about it, she's done that. She's done that because she has all the time in the world to
And the resources, obviously.
yeah,
Mm-mm-mm. Well,
exactly.
that's a mess. Well, I know that you mentioned that you might go live, so if you do, my notifications are on until I get sleepy. But this has been really interesting because I did not know it went back that far, and to know that you are familiar with Lennon Honor, that makes it even funnier to me
Yes, very
because I
familiar. Oh, we know
thought
each
he was a
other.
comedian at first. When I first saw him, I thought that was a comedian. I didn't know all of this stuff was real.
Oh yeah, he man, Larry Honest doing a lot of things in the background.
Oh my God.
Oh, he's no angel, trust me.
I mean, that's what I heard. Like I said, when I first saw it, I'm like, who is this? Because you have people that are comedians and things, but no, when I looked even more, I'm like, Lord have mercy. And it was every time it was Umar, 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 Umar. I'm like, wow. And unfortunately, I guess for some people, um, who feel as though they've been cheated, this man is still popular. Speaking about Dr. Johnson, he's
Yeah,
still quite popular.
right.
I don't know a whole lot what's going on, and honestly, I don't even want to get, um, no, but again, he was just live, I think, or interviewed by somebody. I didn't see it, but I believe I heard it because he like goes in and out. Like he'll go, the news about him will go away for a bit and then it'll pop back up. So it's like in and out. It's not like a constant thing. So who knows? I'm not in that area, but I just thought the Lennon Honor thing was funny because people would do little videos on him. And I'm like, what is going on? And then I saw all of the people donating to him to talk about this one man almost every night.
Exactly.
And this is a grown man with a whole family.
Whole with a large family.
Well, that there you go. I mean, we're living around some interesting people, but I'm going to give you the what is this? Uh, your morning. We're on the 10th of December. This again, awesome. I love the conversation. I mean, all of it. And again, it it had some funny parts in it when we talked about other situations, but um, the title and the main purpose was to let people know when people say it's just YouTube, for some, not all, but for some, it's not. And you really have to be cognizant. And if you're able to vet people, because you really don't know motives and intent and who people really are until sometimes it's too late. So when people are aware that these things are happening, maybe it'll help somebody that is going through it, or maybe it'll prevent somebody from even thinking about doing it if they know that there are consequences. And again, it could take a while, but I'll just say it like this. An old lawyer told me the wheels of justice sometimes turn slow, but they turn. And that is a very true statement.
Right. That is
Well,
true.
well, sir, good luck. And whenever you want me to jump on, when you have something ready to roll, let me know. I know you're
I will.
extremely busy, but you got your stuff going. And yeah, a lot of, no, really, you have a lot of good engagement going. I'm like, okay.
Right. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. So yeah, I'm gonna go live. I'm gonna take a little break for about 20-30 minutes. I'm gonna probably go live close to maybe around probably 12:50 to 1 o'clock. I'm gonna go live for about 45. I'm not gonna be on that long, maybe an hour, just to have a discussion with the sector. I'm gonna do that around that time. So
So is it going to be the Coach D DERELL? Is it going to be the D DERELL Raw?
it's it's gonna be me being raw.
All right, okay, my notification is on.
Yeah, it's gonna be on the 2020 was a B media.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
So that's the one. Okay, so
yeah, I'm
that's
gonna be
the
on
Raw
that one,
show.
and I'm gonna talk to the sector about some things tonight, and for about 45 minutes. I'm gonna be on from like 1 to probably about. I usually in bed no later than 2:30, but I'll be on for maybe an hour and a half.
That is too. Oh, can you put your link? What is it? Can you put the W? I forgot how to pronounce it. It's the. I know it's the media site. Actually, just tell me how to spell it, or you can put it in there if you're able, because the word wants to know what it is. But yeah, I'll definitely be listening in and sipping on my tea. Yes, need the link. You're gonna
Okay, I
be.
can't. I'm on the phone. It won't. I'm
Oh,
trying
okay.
to.
Hold on for a
Yeah,
second. Let me see if I can get it real quick.
yeah.
Hold on. Queen and the Word wants to know it, and like I said, I didn't even know it at first. I found that on a humble. And I'm like, what did I walk into? Let me see. 2020. I think that's what it's called. 2020. Is it WA? How do you spell it?
WASSAB media.
Let me see if this is correct. Ah, there you are. Share. All right, give me 1 second, everyone, and I will get it in the chat. Here we go. Okay. It should be in the chat now. So you said about what time? Because it's 1:25
Yeah,
here.
about 12:50, 1 o'clock. Between 12:50 and 1 o'clock, I'm gonna be live.
Oh, okay. So about no more than an hour.
No, it's 12:25 my time. So in about 30 minutes. I'm gonna be live in about
Oh,
30 minutes.
cool. Okay. All right. Well, it is in the chat, everyone. So I like the raw you, and it's funny how you're able to um interconnect, so to speak. But I mean, we all have our different sides, but you still haven't. Um, oh, you just got a new sub. Um, You don't. Well, I haven't heard you like go off, but you no, you stood your ground. That's how I'm going to put it. No, I've heard people go off, and
Right.
trust me, I haven't heard you go off. You probably would have been if you have gone off the way I've heard some people. I don't think you would have that channel.
Yeah, I'm go out, but I still keep my ground. I don't get too crazy, but I get intense at times.
Well, we all do. It's just how you carry it. And again, you seem like you have a good support group and they understand. So, oh, thank you, Nini. If you want, you can head on over there too in about a half an hour. But this has been excellent information. Again, that conversation about relationships and getting older,
Right,
that I think will be excellent because, like I said, just if I could explain to you the imagery I had when my girlfriend told me that story. I mean, I don't want to start because I'm going to laugh again, but I mean, it's real though.
right,
Getting older is real, and that can be an issue.
right. That can be, and that'd be something to think about for us topics to discuss.
Hmm. Oh
Right,
yeah, we have. There's a lot of things that can be talked about that again can help people, or perhaps get people to open up and not be afraid to, because unless you somebody knows your problem, you can't get any help,
right, right.
to be honest. So again, thank you, Coach. I'm gonna call you Coach because you coached us tonight, but I'm gonna
No,
wait
no
until I get
problem.
over to 2020 to get my entertainment in.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna be a little hyper in about 30 minutes. So look out.
Most definitely. Well, thank you so much again for everything. And again, good luck on that because that's again, I am when you said DA's office, I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah. So okay. Well, I appreciate it. I always love interacting with you, and so I'll be on in a little bit, and I look forward to seeing you there. Okay.
Absolutely. I'll be there with a couple more folks.
All right, then.
Come
Y'all
over
have a
here.
good day. I'm gonna see y'all later. Peace.
All right. Take care, sir.
Peace.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining. That was informative and unfortunately real life for some people. Not all, but some. And again, people, entertainment is one thing, but threats and trying to intentionally destroy someone's livelihood, that's not funny. And again, that comes back. It may not come back to you, but to people or things that you love. So at the end of the day, it's not worth it. It isn't. Try to do what you can do, or just agree to disagree and split and let it be. Life is too short for all of that mess. It truly is. And if you haven't already, make sure you sub up to D DERELL. And in about a half an hour, he'll be on his other channel. So, again, thank you to everyone that stopped by tonight. The mods, my members, subscribers, and of course, the coach, D DERELL, and anyone who might be listening from the bushes. You are appreciated as well. Absolutely, Nini. Namaste to you. And with that, I will probably not um, be live tomorrow. Well, tomorrow is today, right now. Sunday, yes, for football, but the rest of the day, no. I need to get some sleep and work. But before I do that, I'm going to go and show my support to D DERELL. So with that, you all take care of yourselves, take care of each other, be safe, be well. And if you've been listening long enough, be healthier. And bye-bye for now. You too, Nene.